Hey there, Ben Zebelman here. I'm about a week into using Raven 4 for Digital Performer. I'm using it on an MTI-2 that I've had for a bunch of years. Gosh, probably at least 7 years, I think. So I was previously a Raven 3 user, and I'm real excited. I've been finding the Raven 4, the whole layout, the look, the feel of it, the fluidity of the faders, etc. Incredible improvements. And a lot of really good workflow refinements for myself have been coming about, and there's some really cool features in the way that I'm using it that I just wanted to share with you. So one of the main things that getting the Raven set up in this past week has finally caused me to do was to really organize my MIDI tracks better in my template for quicker access and focus. A lot of people have done incredible jobs. There's a lot of videos out there with, how to use, how to really leverage your track naming to make great use of Digital Performer's search field here. And I finally did that in this past week. All my string tracks, I put an STR, as you can see here, in the names, and anything that's a percussive track, it gets a PE. The M on the end is for MIDI, just to kind of, I'll have one more level of refinement. Oh, I see a little mistake here. Got to fix. I'll have to go back in my template and fix that. Brass tracks get a BR in the name. Woodwinds get a WW, etc. And so this is like all my tracks with all of my folders open. So I have all my MIDI tracks first, and these all trigger virtual instruments hosted in Vienna Ensemble Pro. And then those come back on aux tracks, which are way down here. I don't know how many tracks. I think I have upwards of 700 tracks between MIDI and auxes and stems in my Digital Performer template. And then here's where well, not yet. Where's my aux track? See, this is why we need to filter tracks, because scrolling can get bonkers. Here we go. Here's the first set of returns from Vienna Ensemble Pro, all on aux tracks, and color coded. Strings are red, woodwinds are blue, brass is orange, percussion is purple. All of this stuff conveyed by my good friend Steven Steele. Definitely reach out to him if you want to get your template dialed, whether it's Digital Performer or any number of DAWs. He is the man with ergonomic, well thought out workflows. So look, a lot of stuff here to deal with. This is all my auxes. These are all the returns, right? This is crazy, right? So what's great is in the Raven, on this new thing, the Matrix, because they really simplified when you're in the mixer view. They wanted to kind of just keep it really simple, but there's this floating matrix that you can populate with any batch commands that you want. I'm probably going to refine this because a lot of these I don't need here. I really just need these bottom 3 rows. So if I'm composing and I want to just deal with string tracks, I can hit my strings tracks overview TO button, and that is set up to, it makes the search field active. It types in str space M, and then it deactivates that field, which is really important, because otherwise if you start typing or anything, this field would still be active and you'd be putting a bunch of, garbage right there, and we don't want that. So look at this, just my string tracks, and specifically just the MIDI tracks. It shows, the folders where the auxes would be, but it doesn't actually show them because they're hidden from view. So all my MIDI tracks, if I want to show my brass, I can just hit that button, and look, it put the BR and the M up here, and now we just have the brass tracks for MIDI, and so on and so forth. Woodwinds, keyboards, synths. I can refine this further in the future, but this is, how I want to be working, right? Keyboards. Here's the piano tracks. 32 channels of complete control MIDI, because those can become anything. Omnispheres, I consider that obviously a keyboard. Orchestral percussion are like keyboards. And then if I want to get back to showing everything, I can click on the Show All Tracks with Folders Open shortcut. And that shows everything. And let's take a look at what's underlying that button for a moment over here on the Raven. So what it's doing here is it's first shifting the focus to the tracks overview window. I put in this command, command option shift control C, which just in case there was anything listed in the search field in the tracks window, that clears it. And then this command here is my shortcut to showing every single track in this session. So I can just get that by hitting this button, and that shows everything, but then I got everything unfurled, opened up, and it's a mess. And I like starting my session and kind of having a home base to get back to if I'm kind of lost, or I just want to bring order to everything. And for me, I like having all of my tracks available, but I like the piano folder open and the first set of 16 tracks of Complete Rack 1, as I call it, because it's 16 instances of Complete Rack over in Vienna. I like that showing. I like everything else closed. So it's basically like 2 scrolls of the trackball to get from the top to the bottom of my tracks overview window. So how do we do this? How do we automate this? And for me, when I want to be clicking around the window very precisely, very quickly, that's a Keyboard Maestro need. So how do we get out to Keyboard Maestro? How do we call out to Keyboard Maestro to tell it to hit Digital Performer? Because Keyboard Maestro at the current time is not natively built in. The Raven is not natively communicating with Keyboard Maestro. But what's awesome here is I have this button here, show tracks with folders closed. That's where we're going to get this done. What the Raven does have is it does have the ability to send out MIDI messages of pretty much any kind you can imagine, as you can see here. And so I added to my commands here, similar to the other one you saw, it shifts the focus to the tracks overview. It deletes anything that is in that search field in case it said STR and M, meaning previously if I was showing like just the strings MIDI tracks, I got to clear that out. Then I have it put in the command for show all tracks. Then I have it page up, hit the page up button 10 times in case it was scrolled, to the bottom of my window and I need it to get up to the top because I need Digital Performer to be in a consistent position on the window so that then the commands in Keyboard Maestro can do what they need to do. And so basically after all that, then the last command is this on channel 16, the Raven's going to output C-2, note C-2, right? And so what that's going to get us to, let's go over to Keyboard Maestro, is I built this macro, which basically is going to do these steps. So this is where the command first goes. It shows all tracks. Then I got to collapse all the tracks. So I'm going to hold down Option, I could click on any folder, but I'm just going to click on the first one. Now that closes everything. That's not what I want. I want then this open. So I need to click on the pianos folder, and then I need to click on the Complete Rack 1 folder. And that's what I'm going to have Keyboard Maestro do. So all I had to do was tell it first, this is triggered by incoming MIDI, and I got it there when I first created this macro. I had it on MIDI learn, and I went back to the Raven and hit that show tracks with folders closed command just so that it would go through the steps. And the last step, as you will recall, was outputting that MIDI data on channel 16. So Keyboard Maestro is listening, and it's like, yeah, hey, you got something coming on channel 16 from Slate MIDI. Then I can turn this off. You're right. That part is such a time saver. So now it's got its command. And then we're just doing the pretty basic stuff in Keyboard Maestro, telling it to move and click. And, you use the get command. You click on get, it gives you a little countdown, and you go and you position the mouse cursor exactly where you want it. You can test it after the fact. If I click on go, these are the coordinates of where I've told it to go. You're going to see. Why didn't that work? Oh, because that window is going to open like this. See, these columns move around based on how much room Digital Performer needs to make based on the longest track name. So this is where you can, I might have to edit this in the future, but you know, for the most part, I think it's gonna be pretty solid. So with all the folders open, which is how that command would originate, if I hit on go, see, it goes right to the piano button because I already told it that. And this is getting a, as you can see, an option and a click. And I tell it to pause for half a second, and then the next command. So that would be option click, right? That's gonna close everything. And then the next command over here on Keyboard Maestro, I have it clicking on the piano folder. Boom. So let's do that, right? And then the next command, you can see that whole column moved over a little bit to accommodate these track names. And then the third command, if I hit go, it's going to jump to complete rack 1. And that's it. That's a beautiful thing, right? So let me just show you in real world. So let's pretend I was working with strings. So you can see it populated string and MIDI. So now we have the strings tracks only. And now don't blink because it's going to go pretty fast, but I'm going to hit this show tracks with folders closed command. And let's just talk about again what it's going to do. It's going to shift the focus to the window, tracks overview, so that's Shift T. It's going to run this Control Option Shift Command C, which is going to delete what's in this window. And I don't know if that's a custom command that I made in Digital Performer in the commands window, or if that's a default command, but let's actually check on that because that could be something. Let's see. What is that window called? Is that the search window? Yeah. Cancel search filter and enter search filter, right? So let's get back to here. So once again, shifting the focus, tracks overview, canceling the search filter so that this field becomes empty, then loading from the menu system the track layout view of, in my case, all tracks, then having it hit the page up button 10 times, which should cover me for any situation so that it gets all the way back up to the top of the tracks overview window. And then it puts out this little burst of a MIDI note, which with Keyboard Maestro omnipresent, always listening, then runs the macro from Keyboard Maestro. So I'm going to close this window on the Raven, and then we're going to pay close attention to this window, and you'll see it's going to go boom, 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 boom. So here goes. Show tracks with folders closed, pushing on the Raven button with my finger, and don't blink as you watch the tracks overview window in Digital Performer. Boom. And that's kind of like how I like things to look to get back to kind of a normal place. Hope you found this helpful. Kind of sky's the limit what we can do with this stuff. And I'll make a couple other videos about some other things I'm pretty excited about in Raven 4, but I just wanted to start with this one. Have a great day.